What's okay to steal? Your own bike back. This happened to me as a kid. Got my first big boy bike as a present, went to a friend's house and chained it outside. Not even 15 minutes pass, we walk out, chain has been cut and bike's gone. I even spotted the kid that stole it right away in the distance. My dad was pissed, but wasn't really my fault. Anyway, spotted some kid riding it a few weeks later near an arcade. I knew it was my bike because the kid that stole it didn't even bother to take off the Venom and Spider-Man stickers that I slapped on it. I was with 3 other friends when I recovered it, so the kid that stole it didn't even try arguing or verbally fight back. He just stood there silently as I told him to give me my bike back. You know, when I hear a story like this, I always wonder where are the parents of the punk that stole your bike. I know if I would have come home with a new bike when I was a kid, my parents would have questioned me about it. This reminds me of when I was 16 years old. About 4 months after I got a car, it was stolen at a shopping mall's parking lot. Luckily it was insured, but I had school books and my gym uniform in my trunk. Anyway, a year later we got a call from the local police department telling us that my car was found. The detective told me that it was found in great shape and well taken care of. I asked him if he could tell me who had my car and he told me he couldn't tell me the name, obviously, but that it was a guy from the local all-boys Catholic high school, the school my brother attended, by the way. I was shocked. How did that boy get away with it? Didn't his parents ask any questions? My car was stolen in the evening, so that means that guy all of a sudden showed up at night at his home with a new car and no one questioned him? Academic papers and textbooks. The actual authors don't see a cent of it. It all goes to the publisher who get to charge like $40 to read it once. Oh, and also in order to submit to those journals, you have to pay for it. For academic articles, if you email the authors, they'll almost always send you their paper for free and be really happy about it too. Old Nintendo games. If they refuse to maintain their old game systems, then there's nothing wrong with emulating them. Yeah, if you can't even buy a game anymore, there is no ethical argument against pirating. Technically you can track down an old physical copy, but at that point you're only benefiting some reseller, not the people who actually own the rights to the game. Living over a decade in Japan, I've come to the conclusion that umbrellas are fair game. Take an umbrella, leave an umbrella. Who buys an umbrella anyway? You can get them for free at the coffee shop in those metal cans. My first day in Japan, it was raining. We bought an umbrella at a 7-Eleven. A few blocks after purchasing one, we found another, open and blowing down the street. I grabbed it and used it for the entire trip. On my trip to Japan, it was raining like crazy just when we arrived with the metro from the airport. My friend and me were standing there with all our luggage, thinking about what to do, when a man appeared out of nowhere and gave us 2 umbrellas. He left before we even realized what happened. It was magical. Something that was stolen from you. A friend of mine had 2 of his horses stolen. Police told us, "This is more trouble than it's worth," so we were on our own. We tracked down the horses and stole them back. Dumbass neighbors stole my grandma's horse by making a trail of corn from the pasture, across the road, to their barn. My grandma went out the next morning and saw he was missing and the trail of corn, so she followed it. Went into their barn and there he was, so she grabbed his lead and halter and just took him back. Never said a word to the neighbors, but there was a horse trailer over there later that day. Seriously, the more trouble than it's worth part pisses me off. That's literally inviting vigilante justice in. That's how shit ends badly a lot of the time. A friend of mine, her dad had his family's land stolen during the dictator years here when he was a kid. He studied his entire childhood with the aim of becoming a lawyer to win the land back. Despite not having much money, he excelled, won scholarships, entered the best law school in the country, and became a lawyer. Which is when he realized it was completely impossible to win back his family land because our courts are fucking corrupt as shit and terrible. So he and his brothers smuggled guns into the country and formed a posse and took it back by force. The end. Anything from the trash or dumpster, anything. My pop used to work midnights and do some dumpster diving during his rounds. It was usually mostly odd junk. Then one morning he came home with a brand new set of expensive cookware from porcelain, and my mom was absolutely ecstatic. Apparently it was worth several hundreds of dollars, but these were just slightly blemished. You really had to look, but they had random scuff marks or small dents so they couldn't be sold. A few days later, he comes home with a big-ass turkey roasting pan and some other smaller accessories. At this point he might as well be Santa Claus according to my mom. Next week, he comes home all bummed out. The company clearly caught on, and every piece he pulled out had a hole drilled right through the bottom. We still have those pans though. What a dick move on the company's part. It's not like they got anything out of screwing you out of it. Well, no, they want to be able to sell the merchandise to the dumpster diver. It's wasteful and awful, but 99% of companies will do this. Adobe products. I'm still using a copy of Photoshop 6 that fell off a truck back in 2000. I'm in my 40s and pirated my fair share of Adobe products over the years. A few weeks ago, my teenager was trying to find an old PC game on Steam, etc., and couldn't even find a way to buy it. I showed him how to sail the high seas and find it. Today he came to me and said, "Dad, I found cracked Adobe Premiere and got it to work. Don't think I've ever been prouder." One time Amazon sent me 2 of the same product, but I only paid for a needed one, so I sent the extra back and got the refund. I like to think I stole from Amazon that day. I have had something break on me 46 days after purchase and ordered another, refunded the second one, sent them the first one, kept the second one. I call that sticking it to the corporate man. If any other third-party sellers want to try guilting me, don't bother. I don't feel bad for essentially replacing a $10 shitty product with the same shitty product. How do I know it was shitty? The second one broke within 2 weeks, but it wasn't worth the damn hassle at that point. At this point, insulin. From companies though, not from diabetics. That'd be extra fucked up. Well, that would have been good to know. Now I've indirectly killed 3 diabetics. It's alright, mate, no diabetic is coming for revenge. It's far too sweet. Animals from animal abusers. When I was 8, my mom brought home a 6-month-old golden retriever. Apparently she, the dog, belonged to a coworker's neighbor. The neighbor would beat her, starved her, she was skin and bones, and put cigarettes out on her, she still had burns. When he left, the coworker broke in and stole her. The coworker obviously couldn't keep the dog at their apartment, so they brought her to work. My mom took her, and she was a beloved member of my family for 12 years. She had an overeating disorder, would do anything just to get to garbage, her whole life for obvious reasons, but overall an absolutely fantastic dog. I once rescued a kitten from a very mentally unwell friend of mine. His mother had also recently died, so he was living alone and the house was an absolute wreck. He'd graffitied the walls. There was rotten food in the fridge, and no food for the cat. He had a party one day and I found this tiny little kitten living in complete squalor. So after a couple hours I left the party in a taxi, with little kitten stashed in my coat. I spoke with him a couple of days later, and he agreed that he couldn't look after her. 18 years later, she's still with us and is a happy little old girl with no signs of slowing down. My mom stopped on our way home once after seeing 2 young men dragging a very malnourished dog on a shoelace next to the road when I was a kid. Offered them €10 for the dog, they went, "No, we want 50. Mom just put the dog into the car and drove away. Doggo was the sweetest soul, who spent rest of his life loved and pampered. 100% would recommend doing this crime over and over." The ducks at the lake. They're free. I have 28 ducks. After giving birth, anything in the hospital room that's not nailed down. "Ma'am, please put the nurse back where you found her." Kid was in NICU for 2 weeks after birth. The nurses would give me a new pack of preemie diapers every time I used more than 2 or 3 from a pack of 20. Same for those Similac sets that came in 6 packs. I swear I went home with hundreds of diapers and formula bottles. Bless them. It gets thrown away when you leave, so take it. Less work for us. Also, formula and diapers are given free to hospital to create new consumers for that brand. We hand them off like hot cakes to help families, but also to screw the mega corporations. We are like drug dealers getting you addicted to Pampers or Huggies, lol. Food. I will never look down on someone or call them out for stealing food, baby formula, or baby things. Times are hard on most people, while corporations are showing record profits. Always remember, if you see someone stealing diapers and baby food, no, you didn't. Fruit from the neighbor's tree that overlaps into your property. For me, it's toilet paper from work. Times are tough. What's okay to steal? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.